welcome back to Entertainment Talk. Today we're here to do the third episode of what I'm now going to be calling Pilot Watch. I'm your host Matthew, and joining me today, my co-host is Gray. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Good to hear from you.
Cool, you too, yourself. So I think the last time you were on it was either the TV talk that we did or it was Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist
Yeah, they were
season
very
finale.
close together, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was the TV talk the last one,
it
so we
was. Yeah.
talked about a bunch of stuff there. Gray does have a category on the website, so if you're interested in either of those, you should be able to find those episodes in there as well. So that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I haven't actually given this sort of, if you want to call it, side series of like the TV talk stuff that we do. But I think Pilot Watch is an appropriate sort of name. We are, well, watching the pilots of certain shows. This is going to be the third episode of them. Me and Robert did the previous two episodes where we talked about different shows. But today, you recommended me to watch Channel 4's Chewing Gum, and I recommended you to watch Netflix's Black Summer. So,
Yes.
first of all, because the audience knows already what shows we're going to be talking about, but we're going to keep it spoiler free, like we usually do with some of these TV episodes and that. So just keep that in mind as well. Chewing Gum on Channel 4. I saw it on there listed for 2 seasons. Do you know if that was cancelled or actually ended after 2 seasons?
The reason why I sort of suggest it to you is I'm a huge fan of Michaela Cole and her writing,
Okay,
and the reason why she ended the series is because she felt she had creatively peaked with that story.
fair enough.
So it was her decision, and that's very much what I like about Michaela. Is
hmm
everything is her decision. She has a lot of creative control. So if it's not right for her, she won't do it. So yeah, that's the story behind the end of that season.
Cool. Just going to read a bit about the show and then I'll give you my opinion on the first episode, which was the episode that I watched. Chewing Gum is a British television sitcom created by Michaela Cole, which Gray just mentioned. Based on her 2012 play Chewing Gum Dreams, it stars Cole, Robert Lonsdale, Susan Wokma, Daniela Waters and Tanya Franks. Set in London, the show follows a 20-year-old shop assistant, Tracy Gordon, a restricted religious virgin who wants to have sex and learn more about the world. Fair enough. The show earned Coel the BAFTA for Best Female Performance in a Comedy Program and Breakthrough Talent, which is really good stuff as well. So I liked this first episode. It's very much... I think even if you showed this to me and told me that it wasn't on Channel 4 or E4 or whatever, it's available on all four in the UK for free for those that want to go and watch it. You can really tell it's got very much the DNA of a Channel 4 E4 sort of sitcom in the same kind of vein as like things like The Inbetweeners and things like recently Dead Pixels, which I think is getting a second season, Wasted, which is another show. It's really in that British kind of, how can I kind of categorize it? Sort of like clumsy comedy. Like you are
Hmm.
watching these characters for the most part kind of make fools of themselves. I mean, for those people that have seen Inbetweeners, which was what 2008, I think it started. You kind of, I think you get what I mean by that. It's very much sort of your main characters in these shows, including Chewing Gum here. Um, Often try to just do something but exaggerate their attempt to do it. Like they try too hard or they sort of do that kind of thing. So it's very much in that sort of DNA as well. And I will say for the first like 5 or 10 minutes or so of the episode, for about half the episode, it wasn't quite clicking with me, but once I sort of got into the rhythm or the sort of gist of what the show was doing, and sort of settled back into that E4 Channel 4 style of comedy, because it's been a little while since I've seen a comedy like that from E4. I got on with the episode a lot better and just kind of went with what the show was sort of going for. But no, I like the first
Hmm.
episode. I think it's a weird thing because obviously when you're following protagonists or characters that you don't want to fail, usually like you don't want your favorite characters to die or to fail with in any way, shape or form. But these shows are built where they kind of thrive off of the failure of a character, or they sort of like make a fool of themselves and it
Yep.
adds to the comedy, but it doesn't create like a massive downfall for a character. Like Tracy in this show, sorry, not Tracy. Yeah, Tracy in this show she goes to do certain things, and you kind of already can get the gist from the show that, like, okay, she's not going to succeed a lot of things that she's doing, but you kind of you're along for the ride with it in a way. Like, you're not rooting for her to fail, you're rooting for her to kind of succeed in that, and oftentimes she won't, especially in this first episode, and sometimes she will, and in kind of a clumsy, accidental sort of way. I'll give one example of like a clumsy sort of successful thing. You know, when she goes into that room with that guy, and they start sort of almost guessing what they want to do to each other, and that's almost like a sort of, okay, you can tell that, like, okay, neither of them really know what they're doing or what they want, or like are really comfortable with the situation, but like neither character sort of failed in that situation. Whereas you've got the date scene in this episode where Tracy's clearly trying too hard, and she's getting this advice off of her friend and this other woman, and it's like she's putting in too much of an effort, and it's this comedic, clumsy kind of fail, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And then the guy in the same scene later is like, okay, he's literally asking for the check like 5 minutes into their date, and then he's leaving, that kind of thing. So, but what did you think of Chewing Gum when you saw it?
So when I watched it, like when it was originally out, I think I did probably watch it in about 2015, 2016.
Yes, it's from 2015. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really sort of, it just enjoyed the humour, the silliness of it. It's one of those things, as you said, an E4 DNA of an E4 Channel 4 drama comedy that you can just sit and not really focus on that much. It's something that you laugh at. But going back and watching it again, understanding what Cole is like as a writer, you see a lot more textured in it. And I know we shouldn't, in a comedy, look for lots of different textures, but she wants to tackle really challenging topics. And in Chewing Gum, she's trying to do it in a comedic way. And some of those topics, and as you said in those first 10 minutes, make you feel uncomfortable. And that's what she's about. She's trying to use the discomfort to tell the stories. And her progression in her storytelling has come about in her most recent program, I May Destroy You, on BBC. And going back and watching this, I can see where she has come as a writer. So for a lot, she created this, she wrote it, she stars in it, she composed and chose all the music. In season 2, she is the lead producer of the program. She interweaves her entire DNA through this because she has her own life experiences that she's trying to bring out into her characters to allow these communities to be able to feel more comfort in talking about them, because, you know, they are cringy, they are making you feel uncomfortable, but she stuck comedy on it. If you now go and watch I May Destroy You, it's very much a drama, and it's got that same texture, but at a much heightened level. More money has been given to the program. The narrative is really her way. There's no other sort of, external forces going in. Whereas Chewing Gum, I felt, was a real proper Cole piece of work. And no, I liked it. Strong women and weak men, early sort of showing of that's really good to see in her narratives and her characters. And although we're saying it's a comedy as a genre, I just felt it had a lot of drama, but with an edge. You know, they're really dramatic topics. Like, if you think about the religion aspect, you've both got her sister and the boyfriend she's been with. You've got consent, yes, delivered in a humorous way, but her friend has like desires, and she's trying to explore the idea of consent with her partner. And then when, I'm not trying to spoil, but there's the scene later on in the very public party where she's trying to correct him and understand what's right and what's wrong in the right sort of situation. There's discussions about race. You know, our lead male character is white, and he opens his opening dialogue between him and the main character. You're starting to bleed into those discussions of race, and that's really a sensitive topic, all delivered in a comedy way. And it's not until you watch it back and think, wow, she's getting all this in underneath. And, you know, I'm going a little bit deep, but, you know, I think that's the power of a good comedy. You're not going to necessarily forget about it straight away because it keeps it ticking over in your mind.
Yeah. I think I am gonna. I don't know like how immediately I'll continue with the show, but I'm definitely curious to see where they go with this character and a few of the other ones that they've introduced, and kind of how they tackle this character's, I guess, like sexual journey and things like that. Like she's got all this, there's all this religious stuff in the show and things like that. And speaking of, because tackling any kind of topic around religion, whether it's something serious or dramatic or something in between, is always difficult because there's always beliefs and people, are religious and whatnot, and they're gonna look at the show differently as opposed to somebody who isn't religious. One of the best scenes I think in the episode, how can I kind of describe this without spoiling it? The bedroom scene where she's, I'll say, overly dressed up,
Yes.
and the guy is looking through those books.
Yeah.
I think you know which scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And like she's trying to stand there and like figure out, okay, how do I stand for when this guy turns around? And it's this thing where like he's spouting this kind of religious stuff to her about like, okay, you're bad and all this sort of thing, and she's simply just trying to be like, okay, I like you and I wanna do this with you. And then like he runs off and other things happen and that. And that's a scene where some people could take it quite seriously and that, but it's done. You get, I mean, at least from me, me and my own experience with the episode, I got what they were going for. They were going for this, like he's trying to do the serious stuff in the scene, and she's trying to do the awkward comedy, and they bounce off each other in that as well. Not just in that scene, but in some others in the episode as well. Again, it's that specific E4, I'll just say Channel 4 E4 kind of thing, of a character trying too hard and comedically failing, but not to a point where like it's overly dramatic. It's a comedic type of fail where like, okay, in the next scene they'll be fine, or like they'll recover from this, or they'll forget about what happened in that. But you can often see in those type of scenes where you know what that character is trying to do, and you pretty much know that they're not gonna do it successfully, but it still comes off as funny. And I thought that the show pulled that off really well as well. So not just with those two characters, but with other characters as well. So overall I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see the rest of it. Like you said, there's only, was it 12 episodes in total? 2 seasons?
Yeah, 2 seasons of 6.
Yeah, 2 episodes and that. So it's going to be fairly short for me to go through. I'm not in any like rush to get through it. It's not like I've got to catch up for a 3rd season or something. But it grabbed my interest more than I thought, because I do remember when I saw a trailer for it, and it maybe didn't quite do it justice at the time. It was 5 years ago. Maybe I was feeling differently about the show and whatever at that point. But I remember when you recommended it to me, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that show from like a few years ago. And then now obviously I've gotten older and sort of changed my views on certain things and that, and then went back to the show with a bit more of an open mind and whatnot. And I thought it was fairly good. And because some people would look at some of these types of shows and be like, okay, this is cringy, stupid kind of comedy, and I can understand why some people would feel that way, but it there's a line that they don't quite cross where it's like, okay, you can get away with cringy comedy and make it good. When you get to stupid comedy, there's a line there as to where like your audience might switch off, and I don't feel like the show went over that line to make it stupid comedy.
It definitely wasn't the slapstick corner, was it?
No,
it didn't get to slapstick, which is where you would probably turn off.
Yeah, because there is like focus and stuff and fairly decent, character development and things like that. And like you said, there's the friend character in there as well, and she's kind of considering different things. So yeah, it's I mean, how much we've already talked about as well. This is a 22-minute episode, and they managed to put quite a lot into it, so it's good. So anything else?
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. Thank you for
I would say Michaela Coel, if anyone is interested, I'm probably on a little bit of a fangirling moment here with the stuff that she's done. It has been absolutely fantastic, and I followed most of her career, and this is definitely a very good example of her skill set.
Cool. Anything else on chewing gum you want to talk about?
No, I'm going to say that I think it's also a Netflix I discovered when I was doing a bit of research earlier today. So as well as being on all 4, if you want it advert free, pop over to Netflix.
Yeah, so have a look out for both of those. I'm not sure about the US and all that, but just have a look around on your streaming services. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere. So, because there is this sort of like Channel 4 Netflix relationship that's been there for a while, isn't there? So just check what's around you. There's, with the amount of streaming services that are out there, I'm sure it's on something. So have a look out for that as well.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Donnie, and I host the Adulting with Donnie podcast. And this is not the show to listen to if you're trying to be a better adult. I started this podcast as a way to offload some thoughts that I have throughout the week. My topics vary widely every week. Movies I've seen, guns and gun control, sex, people that are stupid, why I don't care about celebrity opinions, TV shows, snowmobiling. The list goes on and on. I'm always taking topic suggestions from fans of the show too. So join me each week on Adulting with Donnie as I pour some bourbon and allow you to see the inner workings of the mind of a madman. Live free and rant hard.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
Today's sponsor is Kualu. If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Kualu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Kualu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon, there's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. So I think we should move on to the show I recommended you. It's Black Summer, which, switching genres dramatically from British comedy to American horror zombie drama shows. Let's go to your impressions first, I guess. What did you think of? Well, first, how many episodes did you watch? Just the pilot?
So I watched the pilot, and I early spoiler, I will probably be going on to watch the next episode. I saw that Netflix obviously tells you a second season is coming.
Yeah.
So, I was quite impressed. When you first gave me, I haven't always been a huge zombie fan. I watched Walking Dead right through to season 7, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit tired of it. I think it was getting to the point they just brought in Negan, and there was the storyline around Glenn and Abraham, and I sort of turned off. So I had not watched a zombie drama in quite a while. And if I hadn't read the biog or that Netflix tells you about, and I watched the first probably 5 minutes of this, 5-10 minutes, you wouldn't have necessarily known it was a zombie drama. And that's what sort of drew me in at the start. And I was like, oh, actually, this is really good. There's so many questions. If I hadn't read the blurb, I've got so many questions about what's going on in these scenes and, how we are going to follow these characters. I really enjoy different ways of telling stories. There are your cliched ways, which, you have a scene and then it goes 10 days earlier or 10 months earlier. And sometimes gets a bit tired. But the way we're looking at Black Summer, and I'm obviously only in episode 1, was really good. So for those people who don't know, it's a chaptered approach. That's not a spoiler. They do it in chapters, and the chapters are headed up by a character, and you're seeing the story develop from these different characters' points of view. And I really like that. I'm really into different storytelling and seeing how different characters move along their journey and develop their narrative. And what I liked about episode 1 is the timeline jumped around as well. So it wasn't this all taking place in the same 45 minutes. You've got a scene that happens towards the end, which is clearly at a different time than at the beginning because of how you see the storyline develop. So I was really intrigued. That's probably why I'm going to be watching it a second viewing. The only thing I struggled with, but I understand the style, is the camera work. Quite shaky, quite uneasy for me. I sometimes get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the sense of this anxiety with the characters within the program, but I sometimes at points just felt it really uneasy and shaky on me. There was a chapter which confused me a little bit. I don't know how I can say this without spoiling, but there's probably the 4th chapter in is a male character's name, and you see the male character, but then for the majority of the time you follow this female character. Do you know which one I mean, Matt? Am I being
Not
coded
quite.
enough?
I know what you mean in terms of when
Yeah.
they switch between characters that you're following. I remember that sort of stuff. So
Yeah. So I'll say it. It's not a huge spoiler, but Lance's chapter. So you start with a young couple at the beginning of the chapter, and you think, "Oh, this is the boy that I'm following," and then something happens, and you see a character from the previous chapter dip in, but then you spend the rest of the time following this female character, and then at the end of her little journey, you're introduced to another character, and I'm thinking, I suppose it confused me, but I think that confusion was good because it set up lots of questions for what might be in episode 2. I liked the open-ended stories. I want to know how the timelines fit together. I want to know how these individual characters are important enough to be able to be connected. And therefore there is a bit of a Walking Dead vibe about it, because if we think about the first season of The Walking Dead,
yeah.
But I think there's a little bit more. It's a little bit grittier, and it feels a little bit more fresh in terms of we're seeing lots of people. There hasn't been this huge time jump from when obviously we wake up in the hospital in episode 1 of Walking Dead, and we don't know how much time has gone. It seems very fresh, this situation that Black Summer's sort of reporting on. So I'm probably saying loads of things that you're sitting there going, "Oh, that happens later down in the episode," or you know. But I also like the twists. There's a character in there called Spears. To me, that was a twist. Definitely no spoilers there. I just liked how they got to that. And yeah, I didn't expect it to grab me, but it's now there on my Netflix. Episode 2 is lining up. It'll definitely be something I'll be going on to.
Sweet. Nice. Before I go on to talk about the show, let's just read a little bit about this one as well. I might have a piece of information in here that surprises you as well, so we'll read this out. Black Summer is an American web television series created by Carl Schaefer and John Hyams. The first season, consisting of 8 episodes, was released on Netflix April 11th, 2019, so it's already over a year old. The series is produced by The Asylum. Here is the part that might surprise you. The same production company behind Z Nation, and is written and directed by Hyams, with Abraham Cox writing and directing additional episodes. Jamie King stars in the lead role as Rose, a mother who is separated. I don't think there's probably any spoilers in there. I'll just skip over that bit just in case. The series garnered moderate approval from critics. Many of the filming locations are Calgary, Alberta, in Canada.
In Canada, classic.
In November 2019, Netflix renewed it for a second season of 8 episodes, which I'm very much looking forward to. So they mentioned in here The Asylum, which produced Z Nation. This is apparently supposed to be a prequel to Z Nation, but given that I can tell you now, having seen all of Z Nation and all of this first season of Black Summer, there's no, at least at the moment, there's zero connection between them. Did you know it was supposed to be a Z Nation prequel?
No, I did not know that. And I know you were about to say a bit about the mother. That's in the Netflix blurb. So
Okay.
when I went on, it does say quite openly the mother separated from a child. So that isn't a spoiler if people log on to Netflix. That's the driving part of the story, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what drives some of
It's like
the
one of the first
narratives.
things that happens as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, so it's not like you don't need to go and watch Z Nation to watch this or whatever. They're not really connected at all. Unless in the second season they're going to do something to connect it. I'm not sure. Also, this just, in comparison to Z Nation's basically like a comedy zombie TV show. And this is very much a serious kind of dark, gritty zombie TV show. So they're not even like sort of tonally connected, but nonetheless, I really, really loved this when I saw this. I think it's fair to say I'm much more of a sort of horror and zombie fan than you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And that sort of thing. I've watched, lots of different zombie shows. I am completely up to date with Walking Dead. We do have a Walking Dead podcast, of course. I looked recently at Train to Busan and some other stuff. There's a lot of good, foreign zombie things out there, like The Kingdom, which is also on Netflix. You've got, like I said, Train to Busan and some other stuff as well. I think the one thing from at least the first episode, or from the start, that they do really well and they avoid a zombie cliche with, is you don't get anybody looking at their relative who's died and be like, "Oh, are you okay?" When they're like, like when their family members turned or something and they clearly don't look human, and that zombie's going towards them. You don't get any main characters that go like, "Oh, are you all right?" and then they're slowly going towards them and then they get bitten. I don't recall any of that happening, and now that we've, there's been decades worth of zombie stories, putting that into something is quite old, because it's like, come on, look, this person's got like, blood all over their face and they've probably got like a bite mark on their arm or whatever, and no, they don't look okay. But this show completely avoids that, and you basically do get the characters realize pretty much from the start that, like, okay, my relative or friend or whoever, or even just the next zombie they come across, there's clearly something wrong with them, so I'm going to either fight them or run away. And it might seem like quite a basic thing to get right, but that's a cliche that I really think zombie stories should continue to just avoid. And I was really glad that the show managed to do that, especially because in this show you've got more runner type of zombies, whereas in The Walking Dead you've got the slow kind of walker types of zombies. So especially in this show, you haven't got time to stand there and be like, "Oh, are you alright?" kind of thing, because by the time you've done that in this show, they pretty much would be on top of you and eating you and that. So I'm glad that they avoided that as well. How do you feel about them sort of avoiding that cliche?
That's the kind of element that really got me hooked and made it different a bit from Walking Dead, because the timeline is something I really want to understand. So it seems really early on in the problem, but everyone is very aware of like the symptoms and what happens, and there's no wasting time in thinking about they might get over it. It's very clear cut. They know what causes the zombie problem, but how long have they known that? Is it a week, 2 weeks, a month? There's lots of questions. I really hope episodes 2 to 8 answer some of them, or if I have to wait for season 2, it might make me cross. But there were some cliches that we all know about, but in the whole idea of zombiness, has everyone decided that these are the right cliches? If we talk about how we get rid of a zombie, that seems quite relevant. But I was, I like the fact that some of them ran. We don't see that in The Walking Dead, really, do we?
No.
They're normally dragging themselves and crawling.
Yeah. See, I suppose because some people look at walkers and they think like, okay, they're no threat. Walkers is much more of like a zonal kind of thing, where it's like, okay, let's say you need to get into a certain building for supplies, and there's a small horde of zombies there, even if it's like, I don't know, 5 or 6. Yeah, that's more of a situation where like you have to work your way around them and not alert them. Whereas with this, it's like, okay, you have to run away and fight. And arguably, runners are more of a threat, but there's still situations in certain media and that where it's a bit easier than you think to get caught out by walkers, because you can get cornered in different situations, and maybe you try and go through a door and it's locked and you have to kind of fight your way out there. So I mean, I like both types, and I mean, I've got two different shows with different types, because you've got Walking Dead with walkers, and then this, which has runners and that, so it's kind of serving both. But for me, the season just got better and better as it goes on. I can't quite fully remember this, but I think each episode gets shorter.
Yeah, as soon as I finished episode 1, the next episode came up as 33 minutes.
Yeah, and they go down to like 22 by the end, I think.
Oh, wow.
22 minutes.
Oh, I could binge that this weekend, Matt.
I might have that slightly wrong, but yeah, I think I remember them getting shorter. But hey, sometimes, as I've said this numerous times on for different TV shows and that, sometimes short and sweet is just the way to go. You know, if you're going to get in there, you're not going to wait. You haven't... Because when you set out a show that's as short as that, whether it's 6 episodes or 8 or something, and they're 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you haven't got time to waste. So if you're going to go in there and you're just going to fill out the whole episode with story and action and just not let up, it just creates a shorter and sweeter sort of story for the season. And I get with different stories and that you need more time to breathe and process moments and that. So I'm not saying that works for every single show, but I think for a fast-paced show like this, it definitely works a lot. So that works as well. Looking forward to season 2. I don't know what stage they got to, because of course not many things can film at the moment. But I'm pretty much looking forward to season 2. So how are you feeling going into the rest of the first season, I suppose?
Well, now you've told me that the episodes get shorter, it does make me a little bit more keen to sort of rush through it. I am better with shorter things, because sometimes my concentration span, if I want to watch a TV program with like 50-minute, hour-long episodes, like a lot of the HBO ones, I really have to put aside a weekend afternoon where I can properly sit down and concentrate and focus. Yeah. Sometimes, I get 45 minutes here, 30 minutes here. I just want something that is like really quick to consume and I can enjoy, and my concentration span stays there. So I suppose now you've told me that, it's easily a weekend binge thing now, 8 episodes that get shorter each time. So I'm looking forward to getting through that. And yeah, I'll also look out for when season 2 is going to be released, because I think you may have got me hooked on another zombie program.
Cool. Nice. I guess I've done my job on this one, and you did as well, because I'm going to watch the rest of Chewing Gum at some point. So that might be a show that just slightly moving back to, because both of these shows are short. I guess we could say. I guess it might just be where I watch like an episode here, an episode there, and then because it's short, it will just be finished. Soon.
Go over before you know it. So.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about with these two shows. So I guess we'd both recommend both shows. I liked Chewing Gum. I really, really liked Black Summer. I can't remember where I put it in my list for last year, but it must have been in the top 10. I'd be surprised with myself if I put it outside the top 10 for last year. We did that in December, so I can't remember that far back. But so that should be pretty good. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Audience, yes, if you have or haven't seen this show, are you looking forward to watching either of these, given how we've talked about them? If you have seen one or the other, or both, or parts of one or the other, let us know what you thought of the shows. Both of the shows or just one of them. Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page and information in your show notes. So let us know how you feel about these two shows. So yeah, we've both got 2 seasons to watch of this show, because that's been renewed for a second season and whatnot. So that's good stuff.
Fantastic.
I think that's everything we wanted to cover for this episode. We'll be back soon. We haven't arranged it yet, but I do want to keep doing these pilot watch type episodes. It gives usually me as the host and the co-host, you in this situation, and Robert on the other episodes, just a chance of like, okay, I think the other host or the co-host would enjoy this show, you recommend it to them, and then you come in with just spoiler-free impressions. So we'll definitely keep doing these episodes and see how they go, and we'll arrange another one soon, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, you can find everything that we have got on entertainmenttalk.org. Lots of stuff happening at the moment, so have a look out for that. Gaming Talk podcasts have been quite long lately, because there's been just a lot of gaming news lately, which has been quite cool. So check out those. The classic reviews, Jim Carrey season, so look out for those. There'll be a new episode tomorrow, in fact, so have a look out for those. There's just a few episodes left, but that's been pretty fun to do as well. As I said, Train to Busan spoiler-free review is out there, and so is my spoiler-free review for Midsummer, the 2019 horror film as well, so have a look out for those, and just a bunch of other stuff on entertainmenttalk.org. Gray, you can be found on Geektown as well.
I co-host on Geektown very sporadically. I'm also on Twitter at Gray the Geek. If I'm not talking about TV, I'm normally fighting for consumer rights and complaining to companies that are giving me bad service.
Yeah, so sometimes companies need to be told. So
yes.
It's But go and find Gray the Geek on Twitter, and of course, speaking of Geektown, you can find Geektown Radio on Tuesdays. There is this week's episode out available today. There might be a familiar voice on there, maybe not. We shall see. But you can find that on Tuesdays. That's geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio. That's on iTunes. Speaking of iTunes, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us, both us and Geektown, on iTunes. Just search for Geektown and Entertainment Talk and find those feeds, rate, review, and subscribe. Bex is streaming daily on Twitch. That's Trista Bytes, so Trista and then BYTES. Go and follow her, subscribe to her over there. She just did some really good work with the Samaritans as well, so really good stuff from her, what she's done over there. Some really great work, so check her out over there. Barry is still doing horror podcasts on Talk and Stalk. There should be a new episode. He told me today it should be Thursday, so have a look out for that. I'm not in charge of that though, so that's his thing. But go and look for Talk and Stalk on YouTube. There's a couple of episodes available already if you like your horror stuff, so have a look out for that. I think that's everybody's stuff to mention. Of course, Patreon, we are on there. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers for review options, instant podcast options, and review options as well, so have a look out for those. Amazon affiliate link: if you're buying stuff on Amazon, we can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you extra. Word of mouth: you can simply tell people that you know about the website and your iTunes feeds and all the other stuff that I've mentioned in this episode. Social media, Facebook and Twitter, that really helps us out as well. Speaking of Twitch, I'm on there sometimes with Ghost of Tsushima, and once I finish with that, I'll be back on Last of Us 2 with New Game Plus. Let's Play Sundays is on a hiatus at the moment, but there is 50 episodes to have a look out for, so go and have a good look out for those as well. I think that's everything, so thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.